Look, I'm going to be honest with you. What I'm about to teach you will fundamentally change how you view every human interaction for the rest of your life. Your father didn't teach you this, and neither did your teachers. Most men will go to their graves without ever understanding these principles. 500 years ago, a man named Niccolò Machiavelli wrote down the most dangerous documented truths about human nature ever recorded. Facts so disturbing that the Catholic Church banned his book. Facts so powerful that every world leader studies them in secret while publicly condemning them. There are lessons most people aren't meant to hear, truths too sharp for the average mind. But if you're here, it means you're not average. Machiavelli warned that power lurks behind silence, and wisdom often disguises itself as danger. This video, I shouldn't have taught you this, but here we are, Machiavelli's warning, reveals the strategies that powerful people use but don't talk about. It's not about manipulation, but about understanding how the world truly works, and how to navigate it without being controlled. Welcome to the Machiavelli blog, where we decipher human nature, power, and the art of control. Watch carefully, think deeply, and question everything you've learned about morality, power, and influence. If you're ready, let's begin. 1. Power is never given. It's taken. Every human enters this world helpless. It is our first and most universal truth. Some spend their lives building comfortable cages from this truth, seeking safety and permission and approval. Others, feeling the sting of that initial powerlessness, decide it will be their last. They begin to observe, to learn, and to understand that the world operates not on wishes, but on wills. History's echo confirms it. Fortune favors the bold. This is often misunderstood. Boldness is not recklessness. It is not mere noise or bluster. It is the quiet calibration of risk and reward. It is the ability to act with conviction when others are paralyzed by analysis. It is the courage to bear the weight of a decision alone, the hesitant wait for a guarantee that will never come. The bold understand that certainty is an illusion, and action itself is what creates the path forward. Observe the subtle architecture of your own life. In every boardroom, every family gathering, every quiet conversation between lovers, there exists an unspoken negotiation for influence. This is the true game, played not with loud declarations, but with silent understandings. And the unvarnished reality is this: power is rarely bestowed upon the most virtuous or the most competent. It flows, inevitably, to those who have prepared the ground for its arrival. It is taken by those who have done the inner work required to hold it. Your manager may not possess a superior intellect, but they have mastered the rhythm of presence, knowing the precise moment to lean in and the critical moment to recede into silence. The individual who commands respect in any room has not been blessed by chance. They have cultivated an aura of self-containment, projecting a reality where their validation comes from within. True power does not announce its movements with fanfare. It moves with the quiet inevitability of the tide, and when its results become visible, the unprepared simply label it luck or fate. The foundational principle is this: abandon the altar of fairness. The universe is not just. It is a system of causes and effects. The man who cries over the injustice of the game remains a permanent spectator, while the one who studies the rules becomes a player. The one who understands leverage does not complain about the imbalance. He uses it. Stop hoping to be discovered, to be recognized for your hidden qualities. Instead, engineer situations where your skills become the necessary solution. Make your value indispensable. Understand that this pursuit is not, at its core, about the domination of others. That is the fragile ego's interpretation of strength, a castle built on sand that will inevitably collapse. Real power is an internal state. It is the discipline to govern your emotions when provoked. It is the clarity to see your own biases and fears without being ruled by them. It is the self-possession that makes you immune to the petty manipulations and the approval-seeking traps laid by others. When you are no longer a puppet to your own impulses, no one else can hold your strings. You become the author of your own life, not a character waiting for a plot. This is the ultimate power, the sovereignty of the self. 2. Morality is a mask, not a law. From the moment we take our first steps, we're told what it means to be good. Be polite, be honest, be kind. Never lie, never offend, never question authority. We're raised to believe that goodness guarantees safety, that if we just follow the rules, the world will treat us fairly. But reality doesn't work that way. Look around. The people who climb the highest, who hold influence, who are remembered, they rarely follow the same moral script they preach to others. They smile in public and strategize in silence. They talk about fairness while positioning themselves to win. And the more you observe, the more you see that morality in the real world is not universal. It bends, it shifts, it serves whoever holds the power to define it. Machiavelli once wrote, "A wise ruler ought not to keep faith when it is against his interest." At first those words sound cold, even cruel, but he wasn't encouraging evil. He was exposing reality. Every politician swears to tell the truth, then hides it when it becomes inconvenient. Every corporation preaches integrity while cutting corners behind closed doors. Even relationships, the most personal bonds, often survive only as long as they serve someone's emotional or material interest. That's the hidden rule of life. Morality depends on position. When the powerful break the rules, they call it innovation. When the weak do it, they call it betrayal. Society doesn't judge the act. It judges who commits it and what they can afford to lose. But here's the lesson. Don't let this truth turn you into a monster. Let it turn you into a thinker. The goal is not to abandon morality, but to see it clearly. To understand that virtue without awareness becomes self-destruction. Being too good in a dishonest world doesn't make you noble. It makes you vulnerable. And those who confuse innocence with strength are often the first to fall. You can be kind, yet calculating. You can be honest, yet discerning. You can care deeply, yet refuse to be manipulated. Because morality without strategy is weakness, and strategy without morality is chaos. True wisdom lies in balancing both. So don't blindly follow the rules, study them, understand who wrote them and why. Observe how people use morality as a mask, to appear righteous while pursuing advantage. See through the performance. Once you do, you'll stop expecting the world to be fair and start learning how to navigate it with clarity. Remember this, the world doesn't reward the pure-hearted, it rewards the aware. Goodness, when combined with understanding, becomes power. But goodness without awareness, that's just vulnerability dressed as virtue. Be moral, but not blind. Be kind, but not naive. See the truth beneath the surface, and carry your integrity like a sword, not a chain. 3. Control through emotion, not logic. Machiavelli understood human nature in a way that most never will. He saw people not as they pretend to be, but as they are. He once wrote, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand," meaning, people don't care about what's true. They care about what feels true. It's an uncomfortable truth, but look around, and you'll see it everywhere. Most men believe that logic wins minds. They think if they explain themselves clearly enough, others will finally understand. But reason rarely moves people. Emotion does. You can show proof, speak truth, even beg for understanding, and still lose to the man who makes others feel something. That's why the loudest politician wins, not the most honest one. That's why people believe the confident liar over the nervous truth-teller. That's why love can blind the intelligent and humble the strong. Because emotion bends reality. It paints perception. It shapes the world we live in more than facts ever will. If you wish to lead, to inspire, or to influence, learn the language of emotion. Make people feel seen. Make them feel understood. You don't move hearts with logic. You move them with presence. When people feel something around you, they remember you. When they feel nothing, you vanish from their mind as quickly as you appeared. Your composure under pressure speaks louder than any argument. Your silence in chaos can command more respect than your words. Because people don't measure you by your explanations. They measure you by your energy. The calm man makes others feel safe. The controlled man makes others feel uncertain about their own control. And the one who can regulate his own emotions can regulate the emotions of everyone around him. That's the quiet law of power. Control emotion, and you control perception. Control perception, and you control behavior. Machiavelli never said you must be cold or heartless. He simply revealed that those who understand emotion, instead of being ruled by it, become the architects of influence. They don't get lost in anger, jealousy, or fear. They observe them and use them as tools. So don't chase being liked. Don't chase being understood. Chase emotional mastery. Because the man who remains calm while others lose their balance becomes the center of gravity in every room. He doesn't force control. He is control. And in a world where most people are led by feelings they barely understand, the man who masters emotion becomes something rare, untouchable. Never forget, emotion isn't weakness. It's power. It's the silent currency that shapes loyalty, fear, attraction, and trust. And the man who can command it commands everything. 4. Never fight wars. You don't choose. Machiavelli once wrote, "There is no avoiding war. It can only be postponed to the advantage of others." He wasn't just talking about nations. He was talking about life itself. Most people spend their lives running from conflict. They stay quiet to keep the peace. They say yes when they mean no. They convince themselves that avoiding confrontation is maturity, that silence keeps them safe. But peace without strength is just a pause before defeat. The truth is harsh, but simple. You are always at war. In your career, someone is quietly waiting for your mistake. In your relationship, someone envies your presence or influence. In society, someone benefits from your silence, your compliance, your hesitation. You may not see it, but the game never stops. You don't need to go looking for conflict. You just need to be prepared for it. Because power doesn't come from aggression. It comes from readiness. The lion doesn't roar to prove it's dangerous. It doesn't announce its strength. It simply is strong. And that alone commands respect. Its very presence keeps threats at a distance. That's how you must live. Be calm, but capable. Kind, but unshakable. Silent, but alert. Train your mind when everything feels easy. Build your skills when no one is watching. Save your resources when you don't need them. Stay disciplined when no one is testing you. Because real preparation happens in private, long before the world demands it. When war finally comes, and it always does, you won't need to panic. You won't need to shout or prove yourself. Your actions, your discipline, your quiet confidence, they'll speak for you. People will sense it, that calm danger of someone who has already fought 1,000 invisible battles within himself. That's what Machiavelli meant. He understood that those who are unprepared are always ruled by those who are. Conflict doesn't destroy the strong, it reveals them. And the man who prepares in peace doesn't just survive the storm, he becomes it. So while others waste time chasing comfort, choose readiness. When you are prepared, peace becomes your weapon, because strength that is silent is more terrifying than strength that shouts. Remember this, you can postpone the fight, but you cannot avoid it. And the man who trains in peace, the one who sharpens his mind, controls his emotions, and stays steady while others relax, rarely has to fight at all. His very presence ends the battle before it begins. 5. Reputation is a weapon. Sharpen it. Reputation is your invisible armor. It moves before you enter a room. It shapes how people treat you long before you speak. It can protect you, elevate you, or destroy you, depending on who controls it. Machiavelli once wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." He understood that power doesn't come from being fully known. It comes from being carefully understood. Most men spend their entire lives trying to prove themselves. They talk too much, explain too much, reveal too much. They want everyone to see their worth, to know their story, to understand their pain. But the more you explain yourself, the smaller your image becomes. The more you try to be understood, the easier you are to manipulate. A wise man never gives the world full access to his truth. He allows people to see only what serves his purpose. That's not deception. It's discipline. Authenticity doesn't mean full exposure. It means intentional presence. Show what strengthens your image. Hide what weakens your position. Because in the real world, transparency is not a virtue. It's a vulnerability. If you want to be respected, don't chase attention. Be consistent in your behavior, calm in your reactions, and rare in your appearances. The rare man is always valued higher than the available one. Scarcity creates value. Mystery creates power. And control, quiet, steady control, creates peace. Stop explaining your every move to those who don't contribute to your journey. Stop defending your choices to people who wouldn't help you if you failed. When you explain, you hand over power. When you stay silent, you hold it. Your reputation should not scream. It should whisper. It should make others curious, not comfortable. They should sense your strength without needing proof. They should respect you not because of what you say, but because of what you withhold. Machiavelli understood that perception shapes reality. If people believe you are strong, you become strong in their eyes. If they believe you are stable, they trust your leadership. The illusion becomes the truth. So craft your reputation with care. Guard it, refine it, and protect it like armor. But never worship it. Because reputation is not about pleasing the crowd. It's about controlling the narrative. Let your silence do the talking. Let your discipline define you. And let your reputation, built through consistency, mystery, and restraint, speak of quiet power, not desperate validation. Because the man who controls what others see controls how the world moves around him. 6. Strength and kindness are not opposites. Machiavelli never glorified cruelty. He glorified effectiveness. He understood that power is not about destruction, but about control. He advised rulers to combine the mind of the fox with the heart of the lion, intellect and courage, strategy and strength. Most men think they must choose between two extremes, to be kind and weak, or to be strong and cruel. But both are mistakes. The first makes you harmless, the second makes you hated. True power lies in balance, the ability to act with compassion, but never dependence, to show mercy, but never submission. Strength isn't about domination. It's about restraint. The most dangerous man is not the one who strikes first, but the one who could strike and chooses not to. That kind of control commands respect far greater than fear ever could. You can be good without being naive. You can forgive without forgetting. You can love deeply without becoming blind. Because kindness, when rooted in awareness, becomes strength. But kindness born from fear, that's just self-protection disguised as virtue. Machiavelli warned, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." He wasn't teaching cruelty. He was warning against weakness. He knew that love without respect fades, and respect without strength dies. The true master understands this balance. He earns fear through unwavering strength, and love through unwavering fairness. People follow him not because they must, but because they trust his power. They know he is capable of harm, yet chooses not to harm. That's why his influence endures when others' authority fades. To rule others, first learn to rule yourself. Master your emotions before you command your environment. Respond, don't react. Act, don't plead. And remember, the man who cannot control his mercy will eventually lose his power, just as the man who cannot control his rage will lose his humanity. Machiavelli understood that greatness comes from tension, not peace. The wise ruler walks the line between love and fear, mercy and strength, gentleness and authority. He doesn't lean too far into one, because he knows both are tools, and both are dangerous when uncontrolled. That's the mark of a true man of power. He doesn't seek to be cruel, nor to be loved. He seeks to be effective. He embodies both the fox and the lion. He is intelligent enough to avoid traps, and strong enough to crush them if needed. And that, Machiavelli would say, is the highest form of power, not in domination, but in mastery. The mastery of self, the mastery of perception, and the mastery of when to show your claws, and when to keep them hidden. The truths you've heard today aren't meant for everyone, and that's exactly why they matter. Most people will ignore them, because they're uncomfortable, but those who understand them gain an advantage that never fades. Machiavelli's lessons weren't written for the weak. They were written for those brave enough to see the world without illusion. So if this message reached something deep within you, don't let it fade. Like this video to keep the message alive. Subscribe to Machiavelli's Code and turn on notifications, because the next lesson will go even deeper into the psychology of power and human nature. Remember, knowledge is only dangerous when it's true. And now that you know the truth, what you do with it will define the kind of power you hold.